So my name is Mike Pegg. My username at Google is mpeg, and I have a brother named John, and he's JPEG. So if you ever need to remember my name, remember that, mpeg and JPEG. There's this time when mpeg and JPEG got into a tiff as well. Anyone? Okay, all right. All right, now that I got you woken up. I lead, as Dave mentioned, and thank you to Dave, as well as Katie and Kami for kicking off, and Travis. I lead community programs. So our team are trying to run events like this, things like our Discord server, our social accounts, content for the Innovators newsletter, ways just to reach out to you and let you know what we have going on, understand what you're building, and try to help you out. So that's really our mission for the community programs that we're leading. And I am really, really excited for today. I'm going to give you a little bit of my background and some of the background with the platform and some of our community events over the years. So I think the subheading here, I think there's a lot that will be talked about today about AI and our platform and technology. I want to kind of center us back to the human connection in the room and the importance of community, especially as we kind of move forward into this new era. To remember the importance of the people that are in the room and the people that you're a community with. So I'm going to take you back to 2005 when the platform that we're talking about today really started. So this was a time when the iPod wasn't yet a phone. It played music. That was it. You couldn't talk on it yet or do other things. Smartphones were relatively new. Digital cameras were sort of still standalone. My kids now use my digital camera from 2005 and they think it's cool. So yeah, so we're back to 2005. And back in 2005, this is what maps used to look like. Show of hands, it's okay to raise your hand if you remember using this from 2005, yeah. So to navigate MapQuest, and these were digital maps, like the first web-based maps that people were using. To navigate, you'd have to find the thin blue border here to click north. The static map would redraw and you'd move around the map in that way. And then one day in February of 2005, Brett Taylor wrote this blog post. And this was the introduction of Google Maps. Very simple blog post. And this is what the product looked like on launch day. A team at Google thought, yeah, this looks great. This is feature complete. We have good coverage of the world. Time to launch, right? So we had North America, UK, and Ireland was what this was. Does anyone remember the first day that you remember using Google Maps for the first time? Like grabbing it, seeing a satellite image, Street View. So this experience for me when I first found this at the time. Remember, MapQuest was a static map and it was very difficult to use. I think by accident grabbed the map and it moved, and my mind was just blown, like, how is this working, right? And so on that day, February was when it was launched. Around April was when I first used it. And I wrote this very poorly penned blog post to no audience whatsoever. I took out a Blogger account. I thought, I am super pumped about this. I created the blog called Google Maps Mania, and I wrote this blog post. And that was, at that time, there was a few forums and message boards that were sort of talking about early things that people were seeing and the interest that people were taking. And so the blog launched 2 weeks later. This mashup was created. I think it's actually relevant that Montreal is the screenshot because there's at least two people from Montreal. Yeah, Loic, hello. I met Loic earlier, he's from Montreal. So this is housing maps. This was Paul Rademacher, who was a developer for DreamWorks in San Francisco, and he was looking for an apartment. He was using Craigslist. Craigslist didn't have maps. He saw that Google Maps had just launched, and he wrote housing maps to get access to the map tiles that was serving Google Maps and Craigslist housing, and created housing maps. There was no Google Maps API. There was no Google Maps platform. This was him, like, quite literally reverse engineering, hacking Google Maps to build this application. So a team at Google saw this. Our engineering team at that time saw this and thought, we should legitimize this. We should create a set of tools for people to build with this. And another week later, Adrian Hovadi built Chicago Crime, much the same way, took publicly accessible crime data that was on the internet and combined it with maps using Paul's technique. So this advanced to June. This blog post was written. By the way, I love the simplicity of our blog posts in 2005. Today, it literally takes us, if you read a blog post from Google, it takes weeks, okay, to get that blog post, to get everybody's comments in, all the approvals. This is what blog posts used to look like at Google. And the two sites that were referenced were the early inspiration for the engineering team to build the Google Maps API. So what ensued was an explosion of different tools and mashups, and a lot of them were really fun. And I basically, I worked at BlackBerry in Canada, and I used to get up really early in the morning. I had a USB key with a text file in my pocket, and wherever I could get a computer, I would check email and see different things that were being sent to me. This was the Earth Sandwich tool, which encouraged people around the world to find one place on the Earth where there was a landmass directly through the other side of the Earth. Otopode, I think, is the geographic term. And he encouraged people to put a piece of bread on the ground in one spot, and then have someone on the other side of the Earth to put a piece of bread on the ground and make an Earth sandwich, right? So, and he had people take pictures of this, and he featured them on this video blog that he had. It was just a fun, creative tool that made you think differently about how maps were working. And this tool was in the hands of people in all these different parts of the world. I also learned different, if you look very, very carefully at the bottom, there's places where landmass kind of connects to the other side of the Earth. So your mother would tell you, if you dig in the sandbox all the way, you'll reach China, which wasn't true. These are the places you would end up. So, and to key in, no pun intended, on, I really didn't mean to make that pun, on Travis's opening on music, this was another one that I coined music maps, mashups, right? And the number of counties in Ohio matches the number of keys on a piano, 88. And so this was a tool built with our long since forgotten now, our Flash Maps API, to assign a chord key to each of the counties. So you could, as a player piano, it would show like all the different counties lighting up, or if you wanted to plot how it would sound to go from Cincinnati to Akron, you could hear the sounds as it would go through the counties. So this is a lot of fun. Okay, so this had been about a year when this was being pulled together. And I'll make one slight correction that technically our first developer event was really when we started things back in 2005. This is 2006. So this is our Geo Developer Day, which much like this, we invited developers that were attending the O'Reilly conference. This was in 2006, the O'Reilly Geospatial Conference in San Jose. We had an application process much like we did today, and we bussed people over to Google's campus. So I was invited to speak at this event in 2006. And what's interesting is we didn't intend for this, but June 12th, 2006 is literally in 2 days, that will be 20 years ago. So we almost timed it exactly 20 years to the day. And at that event was our CEO at the time, Eric Schmidt, and both of our co-founders opened the event. This was incredibly important to Google when Google Maps was created. And Sergey and Larry in particular. Sergey, I remember like wandering around the event and just saying hello to people, and like he was curious to talk to people in much the same way we're doing today. So I thought that was really interesting. I met Eric Schmidt. He started commenting on blog posts that I had written in weeks previous. It was very surreal. And it was the day that I got my job at Google. So I actually met some folks and submitted my resume, and I've been here almost 20 years, coming up in December, actually. So yeah, thank you. So a little bit of my Google story, and it also coincides with when we created Google Maps for Enterprise, which is now Google Maps Platform. So technically our 20th anniversary for our Google Maps Platform is in 2 days, where the consumer service started previous. This is our 20-year mark. So this was the event, and it was very similar. If you look around now, this is what it looked like in a Tech Talk in Google and Mountain View. That's Paul Rademacher over here with the big eyes. And that was a group from Spain who were doing really cool, in the bottom right, a group from Spain that were doing some really cool maps mashups and tools. And it was just a great day. It was exciting for me because I got to meet people who I had blogged about, who were building things. It was, developers connecting with each other. A lot of the connections that were made on that day still are around today as well. And so I just wanted to call that out, that I think the origins of the platform kind of go back to developers coming together, putting faces to names, people to the things that we are building. And I don't think we should forget about that as we kind of move forward. So, I forgot. So that's me. I think my khakis are a little less baggy now, so that was me on that day. And I got to meet the Maps API engineering team. This was like for me meeting the band as the fan club founder. I don't know, and that's me speaking maybe a little like I am now. So and that was 20 years ago. So I will close with an intro for our next speaker. So I mentioned some of the early mashups that people were sending to me. This is an email that I received from the next speaker, and this was sent to my personal Gmail in July of 2006. And this is Martin Kleppe, who's going to come up next. And he tipped me off about something he built. And I didn't know Martin. And if you fast forward to now, he's since founded a company that has mainly been built around developing on top of the platform that we're talking about today. And he's got an amazing talk to take you through. So I will introduce Martin up, and I'll let him tell the rest of the story of what happened after this email was sent. So thanks for your time.